Hi, folks. So this is Ed Harrington. This is interview series part two or number two. Like I said in the first episode, if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. I just gave an overview of interviewing and I gave you some mantras and some themes to communicate during the interview process. I also said there's going to be a long series here. I've estimated about 25 different episodes here because I'm going to break down every question for you. And we're going to do an episode per question. And we're also going to continue to talk about a few general things at different types of interviews. But I don't want to stay in some basic phase, preparing you for the interview and everything, and then save all the questions for later. So we're going to jump right in to the first question. And here it is. Can you read that? Tell me about yourself. And this is actually going to be Tell Me About Yourself Part 1, okay? This is a question that you should absolutely expect in your interview, and I think you should expect it early on in the interview because it's kind of like an icebreaker. And if your interviewers don't want to have a confrontational interview, this is a question they should ask you, I would think, pretty early in the interview. It's a question you should be prepared for, and it's a question you should hit out of the park, okay? To use a baseball analogy, hit this question out of the park, okay? But there are some pitfalls to the question, okay? Tell me about yourself if you haven't thought about this and how to answer the question. The first thing you might start doing is talking about your personal situation and relaying a lot of personal details that have nothing to do with the job for which you're applying and quite frankly aren't going to get you hired for the job, okay? The other thing is you need to understand there are a bunch of questions that are illegal for people to ask you in an interview or on a job application, okay? In my case, somebody can't ask me hey Ed, how old are you? You look like you've been around for a while, right? They can't ask me that, okay? But if they ask me the question, tell me about yourself, and I tell them how old I am, or if I date myself in various ways, like saying I graduated from college in this year, then I'm effectively going to tell them how old I am. And does that mean they're not going to hire me because I'm older than they want? I don't know. They can't legally not hire me, based on age. That's age discrimination. So they're not going to ask me that, but they'll be more than happy if I reveal information. That's just one of many questions they can't ask about your age. They can't ask you your marital status. They can't ask you how many kids do you have? Do you have kids? How many kids do you have? What are their ages? Religious preference. Are you religious? What denomination? Whatever. They can't ask you any of that. Are you disabled? Are you handicapped in any way? They can't ask you that. Hey, well, you're a military guy. What's your disability rating? They can't ask you that. Okay? Sexual preference. Are you gay, lesbian, whatever? They can't ask you any of that stuff. Okay? But if you, in the answer to their question, tell me about yourself, you tell them you're married with 3 kids. You graduated from college in 1984 like I did. You go to church every Sunday. Your back's killing you. Hey, I got a great disability rating from the VA. All of that stuff, then, they heard it. You told them. They didn't ask you. They didn't ask you the question. You gave them that information, okay? And you have to be careful because some people say, well, I can tell a really good personal story and connect with the interviewer. Interviewer or interviewers, plural, right? What connects with one person may actually be quite the opposite with the other. You're proud of your 35-year marriage and your 3 kids and just celebrated an anniversary with your wife and you went to Hawaii to celebrate and it was wonderful. And then you find out one of your interviewers just went through a very bitter divorce and that's the last thing he wants to hear or she wants to hear. Okay, one guy may love it. Oh, yeah, I just did my 40th anniversary. Well, okay, fine. So one guy, it worked for one guy, it didn't work for the other. Well, so did you get anywhere on that. See, you have to be very careful about that. What connects with somebody does not necessarily connect with another person. You're not going to score any points if you say, well, I've got my family, we've got some real problems and medical issues, so I really need this job because I need health insurance. I don't want to, I feel for you, but as an interviewer, I don't want you, please don't burden me with personal problems that you want me to factor in hiring you when I've got other candidates to look at. Number one, I can't really do that. And I would prefer that you not burden me with all that personal stuff. So be very careful. Be careful about that. You may be very proud that you had something very bad happen in your life and it changed your life and you're so much better now. And a lot of times what comes up is, DUI, right? Well, I had a DUI, 10 years ago, and I stopped drinking as a result of that. And I'm, I volunteer and I do all of these things, and I'm a much better husband and father. Okay, that story may resonate very well with somebody over here. This person over here who had a family member or a close friend killed by a drunk driver may not at all appreciate the fact that you were arrested for DUI. Whether you're a good person now or not, that may not that may be a very bad thing for other people. So that's why you steer clear of the personal stories, okay? Part 2 of this is how you should answer it. And I'm just going to tell you, like I told you in the first episode, the question was, tell me about yourself. The answer is, I'm going to tell you why you should hire me for this job. That's what my answer is going to be. I'm going to dial in, zero in on the job description that I've already read, my skills, my expertise, and my passion to do this job, and show you how hiring me is going to make your company better, make you money, do your job better, more efficiently, because I have the skills and the focus to do this job. That's what I'm going to tell them when they ask me to tell me about myself. Okay, I'm going to focus on the job. I'm not going to bring any personal information into it whatsoever. And we're going to dial all that in and talk about that in part 2 in a little bit. Okay, so God bless. Have a great weekend.